Alright, so solving by square root property is the same thing as complete in the square. You can do it a few different ways. If you know that these are perfect squares and you can factor them right off the bat, do that. It's the easiest way. So what I'm talking about is 16 is a perfect square, x squared is a perfect square, so this is x plus, minus 4 squared equals 8. Square root both sides, x minus 4 equals the square root of 8. X minus 4 with plus or minus equals plus or minus 2 square root of 2. X equals 4 plus or minus 2 root 2. If not, complete the square. Completing the square, I'm going to do first on 6 and then I'll do it on 8. Move the 9 over. X squared minus 6x equals a negative 4. B equals negative 6. B divided by 2 equals negative 3. And then that value squared equals 9. So, x minus 6x plus, those who are still struggling with this, I'm going to show this step, equals negative 4 plus 9. This value and this value are exactly the same. X minus 3 squared equals 5. Square root both sides. X minus 3 equals plus or minus square root of 5. X equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. Alright. Doing this one by completing the square. It is a perfect square, so I should get 3x minus 1 squared equals 2 when I complete the square. So I'm going to subtract the 1 over. 9x squared minus 6x minus 1, 2 minus 1. What is 2 minus 1? Oh, hey, it's 1. Divide by 9. 9 times x squared minus 6 divided by 9 x equals and if you want to, you can divide by 9 at the beginning. It doesn't matter. 9 times x squared minus 2/3 x plus parenthesis 2/3 divided by 2 is going to be 2/6 squared. It's a minus because of that being a minus. Equals 1 plus scratch that. Don't like how I did that. When I divided by 9, I need to divide that 1 by 9. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Give me 1/9. There we go. Plus 4/36. So x minus 2 6 squared, which is 1/3, equals 1/9 plus 4/36 in my calculator. Equals 2/9. X minus 1/3 squared equals 2/9. Square root both sides, x minus 1/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 2 divided by 3. Add 1/3 over. X equals 1/3 plus or minus the square root of 2 divided by 3, and you can just leave it like that. Checking on my calculator, plugging in my original equation. What if I'm going to do that? I need to move this 2 over, so I'm going to get a minus 1. So So I'm going to plug that in my calculator. I'm going to go graph. And a really easy way to check this is you type in your two solutions, go to second calc, the value, 1 divided by 3 parenthesis, plus parenthesis, second square root 2 parenthesis, divided by 3 parenthesis, enter, gives me 0, which means I know it's a solution. And then if I type it in again, 1 divided by 3 parenthesis, minus parenthesis, second square root 2 parenthesis, divided by 3 parenthesis, enter, 0. So I solved it correctly. This way's way quicker. Alright. Converting to vertex form is like solving. I'm going to do 10 and 12 because those are the hardest with the factors of a's. So you will have a handout with number 10 on it with solving with completing the square and also how to write vertex form, but I'm going to do it anyways here to make sure you understand it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to move your 3 over. You're going to have 2x squared plus 8x equals y plus 3. You're going to factor 2 out here. 2 parenthesis x squared plus 4x equals y plus 3. So over here off to the side, b equals 4, b divided by 2 equals 2, and b divided by 2 quantity squared equals 4. So when I plug into this parenthesis set, it's going to be 2 parenthesis x squared plus 4x plus parenthesis 2 squared, because that's this guy, equals y plus 3 plus 2 parenthesis 4. Now the reason why you have to have this 2 here is because of this 2 here. This is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. So the same number has to be added to both sides. Now this factors down to 2 times x plus 2, because this guy just comes down, squared, equals y plus 11. And then all we got to do is move this 11 over, so your final answer is y equals 2 parenthesis x plus 2 squared minus 11. And that's vertex form. Doing the same thing with this one, we're going to have a fraction. It's going to be a little bit harder. I'm going to factor out at the same time as I move over. So I moved my 2 over, and I pulled out my 7. So b equals 6/7. b divided by 2 equals, in my calculator, taking 6 divided by 7, I get 6/14. Which if you want to reduce and simplify, you can. It gives me 3/7. Okay, 3/7 squared gives me, squaring this, 9/49. Okay, so 7 parenthesis x squared plus 6/7 x plus parenthesis 3 divided by 7 squared equals y minus 2 plus, that's going to be a little bit hard to write this down, so I'm going to write it right here, 7 times 9/49. That will simplify. 7 times 9/49 will simplify to a nice beautiful number, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take negative plus this in my calculator and just get a fraction. This simplifies down to 7 times x plus 3/7 squared equals, and like I said in my calculator, I'm going to just take -2. So I'm going to go second quit. -2 plus parenthesis 7 parenthesis 9 divided by 49 parenthesis parenthesis enter, math frac enter, -5/7. So this final answer here will be y equals 7 times x plus 3 divided by 7 squared plus 5/7. Now, how do we check to see if we're right? Well, I take the original equation, I plug it in my calculator. So I'm going to go to my original equation, type it in. I'm going to go 7x squared plus 6x plus 2. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my other equation I just found, 7 parenthesis x plus parenthesis 3 divided by 7 parenthesis squared plus parenthesis 5 divided by 7. Now, my pink and my black equation should be exactly the same. So I'm going to hit graph. Watch the black one graph somewhere. And then there should be a pink one that goes right on top of it. And it did. So that means those are the exact same equations, which means I completed the square / also converted to vertex form exactly correctly. Now, the rest of these problems are doing quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So, x squared minus 3x equals 0. The b squared minus 4ac equals my determinant, or discriminant, not determinant, discriminant. So, negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 0 equals 9. Okay, since 9 is positive, I'm going to have, in a perfect square, I'm going to have 2 real rational. But I like to not get this answer until after I complete this. So, negative times negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9, because I just found that number there, all divided by 2. So, negative 3 times 3, or negative 3 times negative is 3, plus or minus 3 divided by 2, gives me the answer of 6 divided by 2 and 0, which gives me 3 and 0. Those are 2 real rational. If I'm not sure, plug back in my calculator and double check to see where it crosses. You're going to do the same thing with every single problem, and that is how you do 13 through 16.